Okay, Walk Amongst the Tombstones. This is a pretty dark title for you from what we've seen you in. Tell us a little about that story and who Kenny Christo is, how he plays into it.
Kenny Christo is a drug trafficker who is quite a successful drug trafficker and has made a series of choices in his life that has put him where we find him. And then, without giving too much away, something deeply unpleasant happens to him, and he calls on the services of retired cop turned private detective Matt Scudder, played by Liam Neeson. And they're kind of thrown together in this path of hunting down the really bad guys, and so Kenny is, in some lights would be considered a bad person, but bad things happen to him, and that asks interesting moral questions, along the way.
Yeah, it's kind of a gray area. All the characters are kind of good but bad. Interesting.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Liam?
It was great. I mean, Liam's he's a very cool customer, and is a consummate pro, and keeps things light enough on set that we're able to tackle some quite dark things, but without it becoming too draining and depressing. But he really is king of that genre, and it's great walking along that path with him.
And working with Scott Frank, the director and writer, what was that like?
It was fantastic. I was very lucky to meet Scott. He came and saw me when I was doing The Heiress on Broadway, and he was looking for someone a little bit unexpected to play this role. He didn't want to go to, I don't know, whoever the go-to guy would be for a drug trafficker, but it certainly wasn't me. And but he actively wanted to see me try and do something different, and wanted to play with the audience's expectations of that kind of character, and to see what kind of sympathies, if any, could be evoked for him. And so that was one of the interesting challenges.
Is that kind of what attracted you to the project, just kind of stretching yourself as an actor?
Yeah, very much. I mean, it's a world that I'd not had a chance to inhabit before, and I'd grown up a big fan of those kind of hard-boiled noirish thrillers that were quite old school in flavour, really. And I hadn't read a script like this before, and so it was really exciting when Scott came to me and said, "Look, I think you could do this." It's very liberating.
Yeah, and you guys shot in something like 72 locations across New York. What was it like, right? Shooting
Quite
in the
possibly,
city?
yeah. Well, we got to see a lot of Brooklyn and the city itself, but it particularly showcases Brooklyn in an interesting way. And I've always been fascinated by Brooklyn, and I live there now. But it was a lot of night shooting as well. So seeing a very dark side.
Yeah, awesome. And you have a brother in this story, Peter, played by Boyd Holbrook. What was it like working with him?
Boyd's great. He's a really interesting actor, and I think of my generation of actors coming up is really, really fascinating. And he really threw himself into this one, and it was great getting to meet him. And I just moved to the city and was really enjoying meeting young New York actors, of which he is one. And it was great.
Awesome. What do you think audiences will take away when they see this film?
I hope they'll be intrigued and entertained by the questions that it asks, and audiences that like a darker thriller should really get to grips with this, I think.
Any challenges besides kind of playing a different character than you've used to be playing?
Shooting in the rain, in the dark, in sort of New York winter and spring was a challenge in and of itself. But yeah, throwing myself into a darker territory for a change was strangely refreshing. I don't it's not the obvious way to get refreshment, but it was interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.